What I'm going to do to attach the switch for my downlighting, which are dimmable, is using this. It's the KASA Smart light switch, and it is Wi-Fi. And the reason why I'm doing that, so I have control over the lights when I'm away from the switch, whether I'm upstairs or away from home. I have a lot of lights in the house that use WEMO, and I think WEMO is great, but it was much pricier than this. And because a lot of the switches that are Wi-Fi enabled use Alexa, which is my main go-to if I need to turn something on or off, it wouldn't matter going to a different app and installing it. And the reason why I stuck with WEMO is primarily because at the time it wasn't compatible with Alexa or Google, and I didn't want to have too many applications on my phone to do a simple task rather than just have one. So I'm trying this one out. This is my first switch away from WEMO, and hopefully it'll work just the same, maybe even better, who knows. Alrighty, so unboxing it, let's see. Okay, and I got this over at Amazon, and okay, there you go. All right, so again, it's the same lights, what do you call it? There's a faceplate that you would see on a WEMO switch, and it's almost pretty much the same setup. Okay, you have your black wire, your red, your green, and which is your ground, and your white wire there. Okay, so I guess looking at this, okay, so you can tell this is different from WEMO, where if you want it brighter or dimmer. Okay, and to my understanding, I believe that you should be able to do the same thing with the sound of your voice. Okay. So this is the 4-gang box that I'll be placing the wires, the switch to, the new one that I got here. And before I do that, I want to make sure. So I have an excess amount. It's always good to have a little bit extra, because if you cut it too short, then you're left with what you're left with what you have, and it might be a little bit too tight in there to work with everything. So first thing is to kind of strip the wire. All right, and this one you can do with your hands for the most part. Sometimes you have to use 2 pairs of pliers. All right. So then using this just to grip it at the very tip, just pull it up. Okay. All right, perfect. Then you just clip off the excess, as well as with the paper that's wrapped around the ground wire. Okay, so without even damaging any of the wires. The only part I damaged was down here when I had to strip up the wire. I would strip up the coating. So what I normally do is I just cut off about ½ an inch from the bottom, and there you go. That's everything else is there is fine. Okay. So now next thing, I'm not going to stick my fingers in there because I still have to cut out the power, which I'm going to do right now. Okay. So now that the power is out, I do have my little, it detects any voltage on there. And I always have this just to make sure that it's not beeping, okay? So, I mean, it's beeping once, but it's not continually pulsing. So we are good there. And I know that the power's out because there's only one switch that goes to the garage that powers everything. So that's out, and plus all the lights in the room are out. So I'm actually going to turn this one on and start working again. All right. Both upper and lower part of the gang box, and once you push the wire through, it's very difficult to push back out because it does pinch on it. So don't want to make any mistake, but I know that this is where I want to place the wire in through. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So separate everything else and then start stripping the wire at least a ½ inch. Okay, good. Now it's just a matter of connecting everything. So I am not going to use this faceplate because I have my own that I want to use. All right. So that's up and down. Okay. So first things first, what we need to do is connect the black wire. The white wire goes directly to the switch as well as the ground, okay? And then obviously you want to connect everything back to the house because it has to get power somehow. So because this, again, compared to the WEMO, there are 2 black wires that do come out. This one, they actually made it into 2 screws, okay? So one of them would be from the actual live line, and then the load, which is the red one, would be the one for the dimmer lights or any switch that you have, okay? So because it has that, I have to jump off one of the dark wires, the black wires, out and then connect it to this, okay? This would be the load, and I'm sorry, the line, all right? And then the load would be the wires for the lights. Okay, so I'm just gonna unscrew, put everything together. Couple schools of thoughts. Some people twist the wires around, or you can actually just put on the nut over them and then screw it on. Okay, so then what the next step is to pull on each wire to make sure that nothing comes out. All right, so there you go. So now I'm able to jump it. Let me grab my plier, because then this one, sorry, I can't even see it, it's so dark in here. Let me pull out this piece of tape that's over it. Oh, okay, sorry. So this, I had it the other way around. It should be the dimmers are actually on top of the switch. That makes sense. All right. Anyway, so the load would be where I jumped off from the wires. And let me grab my, so again, there you go. Now you gotta strip this wire out. And again, about ½ inch. And then you want to curl it in the direction of the screw, which is actually clockwise. And then with your screwdriver, you loosen this. I have to loosen both of them, all right, because I'm going to be using both ends. Great. Shit. Okay, so I nearly lost the red screw. I unscrewed it too much. All right, so let's connect. So this is right side up. The line would be the bottom. Okay, you see that? Just able to hook it on. Okay, all right. The other way around should be this way. All right, and then you want to pinch, screw, I mean the wire, and then just screw everything on. Got the first one there, and then the second one. Actually, you can basically just stick it in through because they have a slot there that will hold it. So you don't really need to curl it because some light switches allow you to slide it through and then just tighten the screw. All right, so now that's done. And we're just about there. Then you're going to connect everything else that's just all color coded. Go to the, I'm going to need a bigger nut because this one's just a little bit too small. Perfect. Okay, because I'm adding, there's already 3 wires there, and I'm adding 2 more. Okay, now it's just a matter of twisting everything all together. And again, gently tugging on each wire to make sure nothing comes out. Once I know that everything's together, what I do next is use black electrical tape and then wrap the wires together tightly and then work my way up like so. Okay. Typically what I do is I go all the way up, okay, of the, you know, it was tying all the wires together, but I do have another outlet, another switch to add onto this gang box, so I'm gonna just leave it as is, but I do know everything is all together. Okay, and then what you do is just curl everything back in. All right, now the last thing would be the ground wire, and I'll just use the same one I had before for the previous one. And then just screw it really tight. And again, pulling the wires to make sure that everything is all snug and tight in there. Then you just curl everything back in. Oh, one last thing. So again, it's a habit of mine. Because these two are not really, well, it's exposed, but I mean, it's tucked inside. I still add an extra layer of electrical tape in the event that someone decides to touch it in there. At least that's an extra coat of protection. And then after that, you just tie everything all in together. And you know what? Maybe I'll just do the black wires too. So this one I just wrapped up because I pulled too much of a tape. So you can tell that I use electrical tape from the wires all the way up to the nut. And then at that point on, just screw everything in. Now it's just a matter of using the screws that they supplied so you can connect the switch to the gang box. All right, great. So now that everything's all together, because I'm still not done putting everything together, I have to add another light switch. I don't have the face plate, so just for protection, I'm just temporarily, okay, temporarily just covering this outlet so no one like myself will accidentally stick my hands in there. Okay. Again, that's just temporary for now. All right, so now everything's all together. So now it's just a matter of putting all the wires. I still have a couple of loose ends to put together, and after that, everything should be fine, ready to go and test out the switch. Everything is already installed. Okay, so the switch right here is the one that will be controlling the downlights that I had already installed, turning them off and on, as well as controlling the dim light. So right now it is at 25%. If I increase these lights, this is fairly bright. Okay, now this is just the back side of the garage. The front side of the garage works in the same fashion. I only put the two lights here because on this side will be an up light. Okay, so it kind of changes the lighting of the house back here, as well as give it a little character and protection. Okay, so if I so that's the high setting. This is at 100%. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down to the lowest setting, which is right there. And still, even then, it's just as bright, using less wattage, but it works really well. So I'm really happy with the lights. Okay, I love the idea that they are dimmable. You can also change the direction, but in this case, the same as the front, I just have it pointing straight down. Okay, very easy to wire as long as you know what you're doing. And I plan to do more on the main house as well. Okay, now as for the KASA Wi-Fi switch, I'm not going to go through how to connect it to your phone and then to Alexa. I mean, you know, if you've done one, they all work in the same way. Now the beauty about this too, just like the WEMO, because these are just regular WEMO switches, these are not dimmers. Okay, this one you can also do a timer on, and assign the brightness and then what day of the week you want to do the lighting. So I have the downlight synchronized with the landscape up front. Okay, so up front I have the same color, and you'll see the pictures at the end of this video, so you can tell how well it's lit. All right, as for the KASA, much cheaper than WEMO. They do the same thing. I think with WEMO you're really buying the name. Okay, but then again, I've had, you know, fairly good luck with these guys. As for this is only day one, and if it fails on me, then, you know, then I'll do another video or just change it out to a WEMO dimmer light switch. Okay, otherwise that's how it's done. Did everything accordingly when it comes to connecting all the lights, all the wires. All right, nothing else different than what you would normally do. All right, and well, that's about it. So if you found it helpful, let me know. Anything I can improve, also let me know. And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.